Biggie's just looking at that post now of me buying those tampons for our rolling relief for hurricane victims yesterday. Biggie will be at the Costco in Winston-Salem, North Carolina today. There again, they are, and someone will be there all day long. And they're trying to fill today a big Mack truck to take up there. They filled that thing yesterday, man. It was a big Volvo truck, and it was full. It was great. A lot of people came out to do that, so we certainly appreciate that. And they're getting a lot of help now. You know, I was reading was the hurricane victims in the mountains. They're asking for blankets, shovels, things for like as winter approaches. You know, they want the stuff for.
I saw that
weather.
too, and but the first place I saw it was Facebook. So
you never know.
You
don't know if it's real or not.
I don't know what is accurate anymore.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
When we were out yesterday, BB Shea was there, and we got a sales guy named Mike. Y'all know Mike. Mm-hmm. He was out there. And I was over, just kind of milling about. You know how awkward I am when I first walk up. I don't know who to talk to.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just kind of standing there.
These scenarios are not meant for you.
Terrible. Well, Mike's just laughing along. BB Shea, I can tell BB Shea's holding court over there. And I went over and said, what are you two characters doing over here? You know, I was like, what are you two scallywags?
What's the buzz?
Right, what's the buzz?
Tell me what's happening.
And Mike goes, this guy's a hot take machine. This guy has nothing but hot
Pointing
take.
at BB Shea.
BB Shea. It's like, oh, yeah, BB Shea's a hot take guy.
He'll give it to you.
And Mike said, tell him what you said. Tell him what you said. And BB Shea goes, I think Chris Cornell is one of the great vocalists of all time. And Mike turns to me and he goes, what do you think about that? And I said, I'll tell you the truth, Mike. I have no idea. And
joke's on you. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. I said, I know. I believe he died, and I believe he was the lead singer of a band, but I don't know who. And Mike goes, come on, man. You don't know Chris Cornell. You don't know that era of music. And I said, I don't know what era of music it is.
Yep.
And
you're not helping.
And no. And BB Shea was like, stop talking to him. And
BB Shea knows your limitations.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows my limitations. And Mike says, well, what are you passionate about? And I said, nothing.
I mean, gambling.
Yeah, a little.
Not even that.
Pickleball. He goes, but what hot takes do you have? Give me a hot take over here. We're doing hot takes. And I said, I don't have any hot takes,
None.
Mike. I have none. There are no hot takes in my body. And BB Shea said, he's right. He got no hot takes. And Mike said, but BB Shea's a hot take machine. I was like, yeah, well, if you want your
keep saying that.
Yeah, I know. I said, if you want your hot takes, go to this guy. You're not going to get them from me. So I just milled on about with somebody else at that point.
That's you.
There's no
I think
point.
it's best.
I do too. There was
You don't belong in hot take corner.
No, and they were in hot take corner. I'll tell you that. That's all they were doing. Here's one for Biggie may have a hot take on this. Biggie came up with something last year called stupid jail. That if someone does something really dumb that costs money or, it costs effort from the government, that you should go to dumb jail. Or
Not criminal.
Not criminal. You're just being dumb. There is a woman who lives in Washington State, outside Seattle. She has been feeding, by her own admission, she's been feeding raccoons for 35 years, since she started living there 35 years ago. And her neighbors have said, you really ought to stop feeding.
It's probably against the rules.
It's a bad idea.
It's probably against regulations, right? To
Yeah,
feed wildlife.
my guess is yes. And all her neighbors are like, you got to stop doing this. We're getting more raccoons around here than we need. Well, now, since the last 2 weeks, every day that she wakes up, there's 150 or more raccoons in her yard, and she can't get rid of them. And she's having to run in and out of her house because they're attacking her. Food.
It's a wild animal.
Wanting food. So she called police, and they were like, well, call Fish and Wildlife. And Fish and Wildlife were like, well, we'll try to come out there and wrangle them. But she said, and they said to her, why do you think they're around? She goes, well, I've been feeding them for 35 years.
Yeah.
And they said, well, that's a terrible idea. You should never.
Yeah, at this point, it's generational feeding.
Now they're wanting their food. She goes, it's never been an issue until lately. She'd get a half dozen to 10, but now there's over 100. I saw the video. It's unbelievable. They're raccoons as far as the eye can see.
I wonder how one feeds just raccoon and doesn't attract bears or doesn't attract coyotes or something else.
Did she put out? She must have just put out food for
I'm sure,
them,
for a long time.
But
how do you get just raccoons?
That's a good question. There's nothing like just a raccoon feed. You're going to get.
I don't think Purina makes raccoon chow.
No, but I mean, if there's that many of them coming, I bet no other animals even try to risk it because they'll fight them off.
They're like the
I
hyenas.
guess,
Yeah.
but I mean, they're not the highest on the food chain.
Certainly not.
Yeah, but I mean, if you got 100 raccoons versus one possum or one
Yeah.
coyote,
That's
you're
true.
not.
Well, and what may happen here is these things have become used to humans, maybe not know how to get their own food, and if Fish and Wildlife starts trapping them, they're going to dump them in the Puget Sound.
Yeah, they're murdering those raccoons. They're not. Yeah.
You don't think they'll be relocated?
To where? McDonald's?
Canada? Can they relocate them?
They rely on humans for food.
Yeah, this lady has literally taught these raccoons for generations that I'll feed you.
That humans equal food.
Do you know, a friend of mine, I just had dinner with him a couple of weeks ago. Our sons are friends, and my son was home a few weeks ago, and we had dinner at their house. He's a big hunter. He goes on these, like, moose hunts, bear hunts, you know. I mean,
Does he leave the U.S. or is he out there in the the Rockies,
both,
and the Tetons?
Both. Been to Canada and done. I think this was in Canada.
Has he been on safari?
Yes, he's been to Africa and done that, and said that was the best trip. He had the best time going to Africa, but he said one of his most challenging ones was he went to Canada black bear hunting, and so they're way up in Canada black bear hunting. He's got a guide and everything, and so they're out on the hunt. And he sees...
Did you slowly push back your food as he was telling the story?
Well, you know how I am.
Yeah.
I do.
Again, this would be not I don't have a lot of hot takes on this. I'm not a
hot take machine.
You ever do any black bear hunting? No, can't say I have.
Totally out of my
You know what it's like when it's just you and the animal and your weapon? No.
You meet eye to eye right before you pull the trigger? I don't.
No. He's very...
When you take an animal's soul, it's a spiritual experience.
And, of course, you must take the blood and paint it on your face.
Drink a quart of the blood.
Yeah.
The closest I've gotten to that was when I watched that movie back in the 80s. The one, Red Dawn.
Jeremiah Johnson?
Oh, Red Dawn. Red Dawn.
Oh, Red Dawn.
They drank the blood of
the first kill?
They drank the blood of the first kill.
Yeah, that's where I'd been out.
Yeah. All right, take me. Just let China and Russia just take me.
Yeah.
That's right. The first kill, they went and he's like, you got to drink the blood. Drink the blood.
Blood
And
of the deer.
They took the blood of the deer.
You know, I'm always
hot, steaming.
Yeah, I'm always the guy to be like, why?
Yeah.
It's tradition, but why? This is
We're in a new land.
This is absurd.
This is only rude to the animal.
The rules don't count anymore out here.
Come on. So my friend is up in Canada. They're black bear hunting, and they're out in the middle of the wilderness. And my friend it's him and the guide, just the two of them, and he sees a grizzly bear, a large grizzly bear, instead of a black bear. And you're not allowed to kill them unless you can prove that they're attacking.
It's coming right at us.
It's coming right at yeah. So my friend sees it, and the guy does not see it, and so he said, "What?
Grizzly. What?
I know, and they're more dangerous." And
I think we should make camp here.
Grizzly. And my friend says that the grizzly bear, sat up and took note of them. And he said it was about 30 yards, 40 yards away. And he's like, I was about to pee my pants. I was so scared of this grizzly bear. And so he says to the guide, as Biggie was just saying, grizzly bear, there's a grizzly bear. That's a grizzly bear. So the guide goes, oh boy.
One of y'all about to die.
Do you know what he said? He goes, you know what, too? This is a bad one because this is where they drop the ones that have done something really bad somewhere else. I wonder
this is the juvenile home?
I wonder if that's really true.
This is the halfway house?
This is a bad one. And it started coming toward them. And the guy...
Oh, God, this is that one. Oh, man, this one has definitely committed some crimes.
What's the old joke? I just have to be faster than you.
You, right. Well, he said the guide, my friend said he was pointing his gun at the grizzly bear, but knew this is going to have to be explained. This is a government thing. The guide shot over the grizzly bear's head, and the grizzly turned and ran. That's how they got out of it. Yeah. And he's like, let's hightail it.
How about
out
that?
And they got out of the area. But I was real surprised that he said, "This is going to be a bad one. This is one of those
Relo bears.
this is a relocation project. A relo bear."
You see, if you look around his neck, he's wearing a femur as a necklace.
What? That's bad bear.
Yeah.
That is a bad bear. You were talking about Motley Crue a minute ago. How I was reading today. There's that new documentary. Maybe y'all are interested. It's called Nothing But a Good Time, the uncensored story of 80s hair metal. Are you interested in this?
For sure.
You want to see? Here's an anecdote for you. I'd never heard this before. I almost made this a put up or shut up rock and roll trivia question, but one of the guys on the management team of Motley Crue said they had this thing that they would do in the 80s when they were at their peak, that they would be around other famous rock stars or just anybody, and each member of the band would just bite you without provocation at all. You know, the crew, the members of Motley Crue would just go up and bite other people. And it came to a halt in Sweden in 1984. They were the Monsters of Rock in Stockholm, which is a big deal, I guess.
A monster deal. It was a huge deal.
Right. So
one of the first big heavy metal festivals.
Okay. So he says thousands of people are waiting. They're at the Grand Hotel in Stockholm, Sweden, doing Monsters of Rock. AC/DC, Motley Crue, Van Halen are all in the same room. And Nikki Sixx went over to Eddie Van Halen and bit him on the shoulder hard. And Eddie Van Halen said, "What the F are you doing?" And he was mad. I mean, he was really upset. And then Tommy Lee went over, came up behind him, and bit him on the calf. And
bit Edward.
Bit Eddie Van Halen. So Eddie starts to he's ready to throw down.
Yeah.
You know, he's ready to fight. And he's like, now everybody's mad. And the manager said he separated them all. And he's like, guys, this is just what the crew does. And Eddie Van Halen was having none of it. They almost got into a fight. Meanwhile, Tommy Lee and David Lee Roth started kung fu fighting because of the biting. They were all trying to bite. So Motley Crue is known now to be these biters. And he's like, McGee, this guy, Doc McGee, says it was really messed up, and that's when he had to take the Motley Crue to the side and say, "You have to stop biting people.
Chill out.
You've got to stop biting people." And it was Eddie Van Halen that was the one who was so mad about. Who can blame him? I mean, he came up to him and bit him. I mean, there are wild rock and roll stories, of course.
I mean, I could see him biting females, but other musicians of that level?
They all got kicked out of the hotel. They got in a huge fight, and they all got kicked out of the hotel, and they were not allowed to stay there anymore.
I feel like if you've read the book The Dirt, which is Motley Crue, I mean, totally believe it, 100%. I mean, those guys were just so out of control.
Yes.
And wild.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right.
Yeah, I did read The Dirt ages ago, but I don't remember of the biting incident.
I don't think it was in that book.
I don't remember that, but I'm just saying I believe 100%.
Oh, sure.
They did this, and it had to be pulled aside and told to stop.
Yeah, and they had been doing it apparently for a while to other bands, but it was Eddie Van Halen that it went one too far, and he's like, and that was the last they ever did it. And
you can bite Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can bite poison.
You can bite poison. You cannot bite Van Halen. So when McGee took him to the side and said that, they said, "We just bit him because we love him. We love Eddie Van Halen." He's like, "Well, they don't."
I'm sure that was the logic in their head.
That was it. And he's like, "Well, they don't love. Nobody likes being bit. Who does something like that?" This is the story of the women being kicked off the plane. Whose side are you on here? 3 women claim they were kicked off a Spirit Airlines flight. Now, they were flying from Los Angeles to New Orleans on Friday. One of the women was having a 30th birthday party in New Orleans. And they get on the flight, and they were wearing sweaters, but below that they had on crop tops. A crop top, I used to wear those when I was young.
I remember.
Remember that? I would wear it.
Half shirt.
Came down only halfway to your midriff. I never had the hips for it. I never had.
No, it's pretty specific body type.
Yeah.
It is. You really need to be
a woman.
Yeah, or a 70s, athlete.
Yes.
70s, 80s athlete. Occasionally you'll see them, like the bad guys in 80s movies wear them.
Yes. Earl Campbell could pull it off. Way back in the day. But in this case, these...
The Karate Kid guys wear half shirts?
I think they did in a few scenes.
In some of them?
Yeah, I think so.
Cobra
Kai, they wore some half shirts.
I want to say...
Sure, yeah.
You better be in good shape. Well, these women are. They're young. They're going for the 30th birthday of one of them. There are 2 of them, and they had on sweaters over the crop tops. But they got on the plane.
So crop top means nothing over the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing below. It's just kind of what we used to call a tube top or something else.
That's what it looked like.
Or
to
is
me.
it just shortened?
Looked like to me there was nothing over the shoulder, and it was midriff showing. So the women are on the plane, and it's hot on the plane. And they're wearing their sweaters. But, of course, you know how a plane gets before it takes off. It's warm. So the two women take off their sweaters, and they're sitting with crop tops on a Spirit Airline flight.
Yes.
Dear penthouse.
Okay. So one of the women said a male flight attendant clearly did not like that and had attitude.
We were wearing crop tops like this, just like a little bit of stomach showing crop tops. And a male flight attendant came up to us and aggressively said, mumbled, put something on, and then walked away. And then we're like, oh, can we see a dress code? Like, is there a policy that says we can't wear crop tops on the plane?
That's Tara Keaty, and she said that the flight attendant eventually said, if you don't put on your sweaters, we're going to kick you off the flight because it was against their dress code. She said, let's see the dress code. They didn't.
I bet there isn't one.
They didn't produce, right. Now, here's an interesting part of it. A woman sitting in front of them who was not with them said girl power and took off her own sweater.
Yes. To reveal?
To reveal. And
what did she have on?
Also, a crop top. She was wearing, now she did have something over the shoulder, but her midriff was showing.
Mm-hmm.
She said, girl power, I'm standing with you.
It's very hot. So everybody had their sweaters off. I said, well, if your body is inappropriate, then so is mine, because I also have a crop top under my sweater. And I took my sweater off and I was like, so if they're kicking you off this flight, then they're also going to have to kick me and my toddler off of the flight.
Let the river run.
Wow.
Good for you.
Best
solidarity
ever.
Solidarity. That's right.
Well, what happened?
Now they're starting to sweat and everything. So the flight attendant came around and said,
and by the way, the first two girls, glistening.
Oh yeah,
I've seen video from the plane.
Them, yeah,
and then they
hot
are
on the plane.
Hot.
So were they just sitting on the tarmac?
Yeah, they were sitting. They had not pushed away from the gate yet. Flight attendant came around and said, "You, and you, off the plane." And by the way, the one woman, the second woman that joined the woman that joined the fray, who was not with the first two, she had a toddler with her.
I heard.
And they said, you're out.
Him too.
So they got rid of all of them. And the lady whose 30th birthday it was said they were treated like common criminals.
We were kind of embarrassed as well because we felt we were being treated like, I don't know, like criminals. Everyone in the plane was looking at us.
And they were escorted off the plane.
Now, the problem, I don't know about the dress code on a Spirit Airlines. If you've been to an airport lately, there doesn't seem to be much of a dress code.
That's what I was thinking.
But at the same time, though, I bet if you disrespect or talk back to a flight attendant, you're done.
Well, the statement from Spirit says, our contract of carriage is a document that all guests agree to when they make their reservation. Of course, you agree to it without reading it. It includes certain clothing standards for all guests traveling with us. We are investigating the matter and are in contact with guests about their experience.
I'd have gotten off the plane with them in solidarity.
Would you have ripped off your shirt, Biggie?
For these women,
yes,
1000%.
They're hot. I mean, they're good.
I mean, they are smoking.
Hot.
It looks almost like it's almost unbelievable.
It's like an 80s video. You know, it really is.
Really?
I mean,
they are absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
Now, the woman with the toddler, I wouldn't say is, but the first two.
The first
really
two.
Are. Yeah, they are. They're
like
going for a party in New Orleans.
And they're crop topping. I mean, they are glistening with sweat.
They were.
I wouldn't have been able to put my tray table up. Sir, can you put your tray table up before takeoff? I cannot. Not at this moment.
Listen.
I'll be kicked off too right now.
They had to spend $1,000 on another flight from Delta to go hours
paid. Go ahead and book your flight, ladies. Let's have some drinks in the bar. Right? I stand with you, sister.
They spent $1,000 and bought Delta tickets and were delayed by 4 hours and could only get out on the Delta flight. So they want their $1,000 back, and they think it's wrong. But I bet you some of the language will say we have the right to do that.
I guess, but I mean, people wear crazy stuff.
I agree.
And really, they're crop tops. I'm just going to be honest. They're not.
They didn't look bad.
They didn't look bad.
It's just shorter on the stomach area.
It's kind of low cut. I mean, they can't help. Maybe they have big boobs. I mean, they can't.
I would not have. I've seen worse for sure. It's like that didn't. I can't get upset about this kind of thing. I'm just like, come on.
No.
Nobody. I don't think anybody would have said anything. I don't think anybody would have had a problem with it at all.
I wonder if the flight attendant and they bumped heads before this, and he already had.
Yeah, possible.
Because I'd have looked at him and been like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. She didn't say, but she said that she said they had sweaters on. It was so hot on the plane they felt they had to take.
Yeah. Oh, poor girls.